Hi, this is the Rotten Raven. Today we're playing Factorio. We're going to go for getting on track like a pro achievement, which is to craft the locomotive in the first 90 minutes of the game. I'm also doing a slightly harder mode of the lazy achievement, which is to craft no more than 111 items by hand. And this is for preparation of 100% all achievements. Um, let's go ahead and create a game. So this first one, we're just going to create a game. We're not actually going to play it, just to show you some things. So we're going to hit free play, we're going to hit next. Eventually you're going to pick all, as usual, frequency is going to be up all the way, which is the number of resource patches in the game. The size is how the area of the resource patch. And you can also click to the far right if your mouse cooperates. And richness is how much is in the tile of the resource patch. For example, instead of maybe being 100 and that one little dot of it, it might be 1,000. So this does not affect any achievements. Alright, we're going to hit terrain. Easiest thing to do on this is hit preview. Find the map. See all these cliffs? If you start in a start area, cliffs, you need demolitions to get rid of them, which is further down the research tree than what we're going to be playing on this first part of the achievement. So I get rid of cliffs. I also want to know when I'm spawning at, so I'm going to get rid of water. Because I can tell right now, we're probably going to spawn around here. So let's get rid of water. I don't mess with trees. So you can tell we're going to spawn right around here, because you're always spawning near the lake, which has infinite water in it. So it isn't like we don't need other water. It's just easier if you're expanding your base to get water near you versus piping all this to it. So we're going to head now, hit enemy, and we're going to go. You can turn these off and it won't affect your achievements as long as you don't turn off or adjust enemy bases. You can make it harder, but 100% is usually what its default is at. And you don't turn on peaceful mode, because peaceful mode, you see, it says enabling this will disable some achievements. So we're gonna leave that alone. But just people think you're cheating, or I think it's being cheeky, but I'll leave this alone. However, pollution factor is how much they evolve due to you producing pollution. So they get polluted, they evolve, the enemy gets stronger, more health, they upgrade. Put this at 0. Then we'll go to advanced. Same thing here, you can turn this off. But all we're going to do is diffusion ratio, which is how much the pollution goes into neighboring chunks. On this example, this is a chunk, this square, this was another chunk. Might not work out that way, but just saying it was. If I'm polluting here, it won't go to this chunk unless I'm actually polluting in this chunk. Because if you're polluting without this, how it is now, if I'm polluting here, eventually it will keep spreading or out. And if I have enemies here, eventually these will get polluted, this will get polluted, and then eventually these guys will get pollution, and then so on and so forth. So by putting this at 0, it will always stay here. It won't ever spread to them. So we're gonna put that at 0. The next thing I want to do is research queue. When you play the campaign, you basically had to do one research, and then the next, you had to wait for it to be done to queue up the next item. We're just going to say always, so we can always queue. So we have up to 6 items that we can queue for research. So when it completes one, it automatically starts doing the other one, as long as there's obviously the labs have the resources to research. So we're going to leave this on always. Next thing I'm going to do is width. I don't need a huge map, because as you get to the edge of a map here, this will expand, and you get more and more like chunks or sections. I don't know what they call it. And obviously on lower end CPUs, that will make a difference. The more chunks you have explored, your game will get a little slower. I just go 900 by 900. You could go 1100 by 1100. The map will be plenty enough to work. And once again, this map's not bad. What we're looking for in a map is that water is next to coal, because as of right now, with the lazy achievement, we need to build a power plant near water. So because either you gotta bring coal to the power plant, or you gotta bring water to the power plant. For example, say the power plant's on coal or near coal, which takes pipes. Pipes are very expensive when you first start out. Like, it's a resource hog. So we want this as soon as possible. I don't know, maybe that is not coal. This is a spot from the ground. Okay. Well, sometimes I see it right here. Oh, it also would be nice to look for. I don't see any on this map. Oh, except right here. If we can get near our starting area, if we can get copper, which is the reddish color, and the iron, which is bluish color, if they're right on top of each other, hopefully a little bit bigger than this too. So it'd be easier to craft our starting resources. For example, circuits need green circuits need like copper and steel because it needs copper to make copper wire. Plus, it needs the steel. So it's easier, it's faster if they're right by each other instead of trying to bring all this to one location, all these different patches to one area to build. It'd be nice to have a nice patch. Like this is a good kind of a good patch, but you're gonna have a lot of them where they're overlapping, and those resources are gonna have both. We put a miner here. So we're gonna look for a map. I happen to know one. Type in 7, 8 times. And then you just see we have coal next to water, pretty close. And then you see like right here. So we have a couple area here we can build a line. I'll show you when we go into sandbox mode. Of the things I'm talking about where it's easier to build a mini base. And then we can build a mega base out here. One thing we are seeing though is we have a lot of enemies near us. We don't want that. Where you go back to enemy. We're gonna change starting area. Like you could go max. It all depends on your size here if you're gonna see enemies or not. Even though there's no enemies on the map, and because the map won't expand because we set this to a certain number, it will still count. So you don't have to have enemies. However, people think that's a little bit cheating. Or if you want to go feature for the achievements, you need enemies to attack you by pollution. That means pollution trigger them to attack you. So we need enemies on the map. And of course, you need polluting. There's ways to get around if not pollution spreading. We just get near them, pollute, and then they'll attack us. We can't run to them, attack them, and then make them come back to our base. It won't count. You have to have them come to you. And the first time you get it, you'll know because they'll give you the achievement before they even come to your base. It means they're on their way. So we're gonna do a starting area. We're gonna make it like, I think it's 400. I want. Oh, maybe it was 300. Yeah, they're right on the edge. So you see them on the edge. Now this doesn't look like much. Because each one of these probably only has 2 spawners. Because another achievement is to roll over, basically with a tank, 10 spawner bases. The enemies are called biters, and the things that spawns them are called spawners, obviously. And so there's not a whole lot. However, you have to remember that these enemies are going to evolve. They are going to expand as long as you don't turn the stuff off. That's why I turn, because it does something like this still will to a degree, but not as much as to what these settings are. You can play with these, it won't affect achievements. I just, you know, it's gonna affect it one way or another, whether they take an hour. For example, this one says an hour for between expansions. You can make it sooner. I just know by the time you do an hour and a half, your enemies that are here are pretty close to they're getting like around you, like up to here. They'll move up. And we'll have more than enough spawner bases to get that achievement. But they're also not enough where they're going to be attacking you and, you know, being a nuisance. So we'll leave this alone. So we do have enemies in case for future achievements. And that should be it. Resources are all maxed. Terrain. The one thing I will say about maps here, this happens to be an all desert map. Desert maps are great because I noticed with desert maps, you're going to have like the rocks will normally have stone in them. They'll have coal and stone. Normally it's 37 coal, 37 stone. And you can mine that, say, 6 to 10 seconds. Where if you were mining 37 coal and 37 stone, that's 37. Basically, say it's, what is it, 3 or 4 seconds per mining this, you know, times 37. And then you have that again if you want it for the stone also, besides the coal. So it's much quicker to mine stone rocks with coal in them. So desert maps are great for that. However, you're going to have issues you see here without playing with trees is there's really no trees at a certain area. They're way down here. And also if you're playing with pollution, desert maps pollution spreads really quickly. So these guys will get polluted pretty quickly if you weren't messing with the pollution and diffusion ratios. mainly diffusion ratios. So we're going to adjust the terrain on moisture here. I happen to know if you change the bias here all the way up, it will add certain trees right here by your starting base. See, it adds more trees. It still has desert, so this area still will have cool rocks in our starting area. So this is great. We have another thing to look at your map before you start too for future. If you're going to use this map for future, besides the terrain, is make sure that you have all the resources on the map. You don't need the green one, which is uranium, which is basically for power plants and advanced stuff later. But we do need to make sure we have the purple, which is oil. Crude oil is purple. We need to make sure there's some on the map somewhere, and not just like one or two dots like this. It won't get you very far until you go down the research tree for like, was it steam? I forget what it's called, but it's like use steam with oil, or with red crude, the red oil. I forget what it's called, heavy oil. And it'll make more of the what oil produces. So we like, this is okay, but something like this or a couple of them would be okay. Like this would be a good one. Like some of these might be too much, but you don't need that much. But the more oil you have at when you first start, the better. But we also want to make sure that we have it pretty close. Like this areas here is not too far away if you needed it, but these ones and these ones and these ones up here, they're quite a far. If these didn't exist, that'll be quite a way to pipe it down to wherever you make your base. Whether it's your base is here, your mega base, like you're gonna have a starter base, it's gonna be here, and a mega base like right now, I'll tell you right now, I'll put it here because it's not too far from any other resource patches that we need. It could go over here too, but you see, the copper's pretty far, but this has everything's pretty close to it over here. So let's go ahead and go in real quick. Let's hit play. Like I said, just make sure you have research on it always. We're not going to use this as a map, so I'm not starting any timer or anything like that. We just want to show you a couple of quick things. I want to show you the achievements, and we know enemy bases. So the first thing you do when you get into the thing, obviously hit tab to get rid of the cutscene, unless you've never seen it. Hit Alt so it shows resources in here. If you're not seeing stuff, hit escape. I know I just reset my game, so I have no blueprinting at all. You see down there, there's no copy, paste, or blueprinting, which we need to do unlock with robotics. Which this first part of the achievement, you won't have that unlocked. If you already have it unlocked, by all means use it. You can copy and paste, your different factories when you make like basically your in-game blueprints. I'm just doing it in case someone's new, but they don't have this stuff, how you go about doing it. So we're going to go ahead and hit resume. We're actually going to go to settings, and we're going to go to, I want to say it's interface. Yeah, alt mode, make sure these are all checked. Minimap, I don't want tips and tricks. I like to show turret radius when blueprinting, so it'll show the radius of how far they can shoot. Usually everything else is on. The only thing I don't do is fuzzy research, show items and selection list, which is, it'll let you know, for example, in your quick bar, you can say, I can put in there something we can't build yet. Example, say the rocket silo or something. But obviously, that's a long time before we research rocket silo. So you think you can build it, but you can't. So I don't keep that on. If you want to set up a quick bar, so for example, for future things like the different electric poles or the different buildings, if you have MK1, MK2, MK3, the gray, the blue, the yellow building, that you can put them in your quick bar. I just don't do it because I think I can build it when I can't. I'm trying to build it and I can't. So, and then set quick bar filter by clicking with the item. It does something with the quick bar. Now, usually by default, I should have made it default. There we go. So I would turn all these on. And I would make sure all these are on. And then the toolbar, which I already did because I already hit confirm. The toolbar's over here. I want the toolbar to go here, where it's good for my little setup I have. And then fuzzy pick ghost item you definitely want on. So you can pick ghost, so you can hit Q and copy a building. Since we don't have copy and paste. We don't want that one. We don't want that one. Technology opens when research is complete. Yes, we want that checked. So if you don't have research labs planted, it won't come up. But as soon as you plant one, if you don't have anything in research queue, it's a reminder. It's also a reminder when it goes through all your queue for your research that when there's nothing else queued to research, it will open up. Also, you can tell we're playing in regular mode. We're not in multiplayer. That means every time we're like in this in settings or we're in our research tech tree, the game is paused. If you're a speedrunner, that's a no-no. Your game has to always be running. Pause time doesn't count. So, well, technically it does count because if you're in it for a minute, it still counts a minute on your overall time. I usually leave all this alone. The one thing here on the active quick bars, I want 4. You just drag it all the way over. Same with the rows. I think this is what it actually how many there is, and there's 10. I think I talked about this before. In case I didn't. But I want 4 so I can show you what I have in kind of inventory, what I'm using the most, so you know how much coal and stuff I have. Alright, so that's good. So we hit confirm, hit back, we hit resume. Now I want to show you real quick while we're in here. Not trains, we want achievements. I reset everything, so even like if I was mining the accumulative, you know, I'll show it. Of course, I want to show it. I don't see it. Count. Like here, produce 10K electronic circuits. That's overall. It's over multiple games. It's not in this game. It can be any game. It will count accumulatively. For example, it does not count in sandbox. Only in free play games. See, this is already counting down. Same with this one. However, the ones here it says per hour. That's in one game. But it could be any game, but it's per game. So if I take, I play this map for a week, I will definitely get it. Well, I can't say I'll get these ones definitely. This one you have to actually produce that many per hour, so you have to have enough factories up and running. So these ones are a little harder, and this is where it's getting when you're trying to just research stuff. Like, do you want to overproduce so you get these achievements, or do you want to wait till you get basically launch the rocket and then worry about getting the stuff? That'll be up to you. Normally, if I'm not there, I'll probably get this one, but like this one, I might have to manually set up something to get this achievement. For example, there's one for 25K. So that one might be the one. Might be a little. It takes time. You have to set up a lot of factories. So the more we have advanced factories that produce faster, or beacons, stuff that kind of stuff, which is later, that it will definitely get the per hour achievement. Remember, that's per game, not accumulatively. And there's other ones. So what we're looking at here for the achievement is I'm going to track, we're doing the train one obviously, but I was put on top the Lazy achievement. I can't say it because of YouTube, but you both see it here as soon as I find it, right here. Which is to win the game by manually crafting no more than 111 items. And what gets you, it's your first initial start. If you craft more than 111 items, you have lost that achievement. You can never get it without creating a new game. So we're going to track that. I normally get about 109, 110. And then we will obviously want the train achievement. That's what we're going for here. Because if I was not going for this train achievement, I wouldn't even worry about the train. Because you're going to build a locomotive to get that automatically when you build one. It's to build it within 90 minutes. And it should be down here with one of those timers. Right here. This is why I said we're not starting the timer yet. Because I'm going to restart the game. I'm going to put all this up so I can see it. Because obviously, trying to find this stuff, you might waste 5-10 minutes. And then that's 10 minutes you lost for the hour and a half. So 90 minutes, now you have 80 minutes to get the achievement. So we're going ahead and turn that on. And then, in order to get the Lazy achievement, you won't actually get that. So it won't be when you do the train. It's actually when you launch a rocket. So between your initial startup to get your basically start your base going, until you launch a rocket, you cannot craft more than 111 items by hand. Your machines can craft it all at once, but you cannot, and that's what's hard about this. So that's why I said it's harder mode per train. For example, train, I can beat this probably within less than an hour, but with lazy achievement, it's an hour 10 to hour and 30. I can get it an hour 10, but it's tough. So I'm gonna see if I actually get it. But remember, I'm talking, so if I make an hour and 25 out of an hour and 30, just keep in mind that I have time that I'm down. And I purposely say sometimes I'm down on purpose. Just to make sure that if you're playing, if you're not as efficient. I mean, I'm not a speedrunner myself. That if you should be able to get it then. If you make mistakes and things don't, you're figuring out something. It's not that tight. It's tight, but not that tight with this achievement. And then, of course, this tracking for purposes, we're going to say there's one for launching a rocket. You have 8 hours or 15 hours. We're going to pick the 8 hours. It does not matter with this achievement when you go do it. It can take you a week. It does not. You don't have to beat a timer here. I just do it as an overall goal. When you first do it, by all rights, when you go for this launching a rocket, if you're fairly new, you're looking at least 15 hours. Some people say 40 hours of actual game time. But we're trying to show you some things and what we can do to make that better. If you're just trying to figure out the game, obviously you won't be watching a tutorial. You'll be figuring it out. I know when I first did it, just figuring it out on my own. It took a while. Because actually you get to oil and stuff, it's a little complicated until you understand it. Alright, so that's what we're going to do. That's why I said I'm not saving. Now, since I put this in now, any game I go in, unless I click not to track it no more, which is here, stop tracking, then it'll only have these. So I would make sure I always have these up and being tracked. Just click the little arrow button. Alright, so you see here with research, if you're going for this train, I'm going to put it out. The reason why we pick always is you have to do animation first for the lazy achievement. You cannot craft anything else and then go back to it. Because if you do, you won't have the building to make it. The MK1 building. So you have to craft everything by hand. So, for example, the research stuff and all that. So you have to craft this first. Now, if you're going for the train, and it's all you have to do is a train, it is talking about, it's not this one here, the railway. See how it has the train? You don't need the cargo wagon, which is the one to the far right, but you need the train track and the train. It's not just making a craft of the train, you actually have to place it like on the ground. Which you need to place it on a train track. We need at least 3 train tracks with the locomotive to place it in the game. So you see here, this is all the stuff you need to research. So it's up to you how you want to research, but typically what I do is I'll do logistics because I want the underground belts. Now when I'm doing this first part, I try to make my maps without using splitters because they get a little costly. But later on, you're definitely going to want or need splitters. But I know you're going to need underground. There's always, I think I have it down so I only need 2 sets of undergrounds. I think I get down to 1 set, but I usually make a couple. So you do that first. Now it's up to you whether you want to do steel or green science. Some people say, well, go for your fast inserter and go for your blue building, which is MK2 building, this one. But you see that needs red and green too, so you have to do these two anyways. But it's electronics, what you need for the blue fast inserter. I try to do it where I don't need them. If you're not quick, I guess you have to get the green going by a certain time, or you're gonna be always behind. So I try to get this going as soon as I can. So I can start stockpiling resources, and I have it when it's available to start doing green science. I'm ready to start doing green science. Blue's not bad. It's only 40. So some people say do it and not. Speedrunners I know do all this stuff because I don't know, they've all of a sudden everything be researched instantly. Because I know you can do research with like the science labs and stuff to make it quicker. So as you see there, that takes 100 red and 100 green, and for every red and green, I say as a kit, it takes 30 seconds in a lab without you upgrading the lab. So when we upgrade the lab, then It shows a percent. I'm not sure how much. So maybe 30 seconds, maybe it's 27 seconds per craft. And you see there's multiple. They don't actually tell you how much it reduces. I mean, there's probably a way to find it somewhere, but not in the game. It doesn't tell you. At least not word that I know of. Like, it'll save your efficiency speed when you have the lab planted, but it doesn't actually tell you by how. Like, you would have to figure it out. Like, it says 110% efficiency or something instead of being 100%. So, say it's 10% more efficient. Well, I'm not doing the math on that. Alright, so either way, we're doing the railway. So I normally do green. You can click the green here, hit start research, or I can hit shift left click, as you probably see me do. Then I do railway or steel. Now here, because you don't need this for anything, eventually we might want red stuff, but it's very expensive to craft. Especially if you're doing it with buildings, it takes forever. We're going to do the engine so we can start stockpiling it. I don't want to do it like that. And then I'll do the red and then do the railway. Like I said, this is the most efficient path, and technically with that we're done. Some people will say to do other things. Some things that do benefit you is the advanced here, but I tell you right now, you're going to need a couple electric miners feeding one of these to keep it going, or you have to have a bunch of electric miners to feed basically instead of a furnace you use the advanced the steel furnace, and then eventually you from like example your ore patches you need to bring in all the red, like you use red belts and stuff to feed it. That is very costly, very time consuming also. Remember we're fighting a timer. So I'm not worried about doing that one either. Usually right after I get my train though, that's one of the first things I go for. My blue building, my blue miner, fast inserter, my blue building, which is MK2, animation 2, then this. And then I'll go for whatever, if I need belts or science labs or whatever. That always helps too. So this is how I'm going to go about doing it. If you don't like it, there's no point watching the guide. Because I just say it's going to be tight. Now, if I'm doing the one by hand and I'm not doing the lazy achievement, this guy right here, yeah, you have plenty of time to do the inserters and all that. I mean, unless you're very efficient, then, like I said, if you already are, I don't know how much this guy's going to help you. Alright, so this is showing you what we're going to do. So when you come in here, you're going to hit Alt, so you see everything. You hit Control, left click as you run across everything. Of course, these things will be on fire. Let's fill all your mats. We're going to go up. This is what we're looking at right here. See this rock? It has 37 coal, goes to the right, and 37 stone. Because when you first start, you don't have a much. You should have 37. Oh, we only have 27. Well, it says expected. I didn't see what it actually said because I did that. I said 31 and something else. You can look at. So it says expected. It doesn't mean that's what you're gonna get. 37, 37. We got 26 coal and 32 stone. Like I said, so there's quite a few of them on the map here. And then usually this one's stone, and then there's ones up here. There's a whole bunch. I'll show you in sandbox, should be easier. Alright. So that's what we're looking for. And then we're looking for, which I'll show you too, in sandbox, because it's hard to craft stuff here. Let's go ahead and go out of the game. We have our settings here. I don't need to save it because this is not my game. We're gonna hit quick game. Are you sure? Yes. Let's go to single player, new game. What's nice, as long as you don't quit Factorio, your free play, like your settings you put in for your map settings are still there. So when I go down to sandbox, which is, you know, creative mode, So basically, there's no anything down here. There's no achievements. These are like scripted stuff. It's too easy to cheat and stuff, so there's no achievements. Hit next. So you get everything kept. This is where you want to play with. You want to play with different settings and see how it works. By all means, we're just gonna hit that. What some people say, well, technically, in free play for doing it, you're cheating by putting in a map seed. Well, if you put this in and exchange your map seed, example, it would be export. It will copy it. Make sure you hit copy. And I'll show you when we go back out. Basically, you hit import, and it will bring it in. And then hit confirm. And then now, since I have that copy, as long as I don't copy anything else, I can always load this in. Basically, I would also copy that to like a text file, out like on your, save it on your desktop or something, so you can bring it back in without doing this every time if you're playing multi. Once you make the map and you're in it, it's all good. It's only if you wanted to restart the map, you need your settings. Because restart once you're in a game, if I hit restart, it'll create. Well, basically all it does is here. What it does is it just does that. So all your settings still stay the same. Even, and this is what you gotta watch out for, since we changed the terrain, like we turn off cliffs and water, it'll still keep those settings. And we change the moisture up. So now we hit preview. Example, this, obviously this is way too green. There's probably, well, this one probably has rocks down at the bottom. This one, good luck finding rock that has stone and coal in it, because it's all green. There might be a couple because the map might put some, but I also noticed too, the more trees you have. Example, when we had our starting area, we can just do this, import, right? Instead of me trying to figure this stuff out. Hey, see, nice. That if we would change the trees, that's why I don't mess with them. Oh, it's covered technically. Put this back at 100%. Yeah, see, this is all trees. So you play with the coverage. So it's finding that. Example here, see all these trees here? It moved. Let's go back to 100%. Watch when I do it. Why is it not telling me 100% should be out here? See how there's only a couple dots now? So it means the rock curls are still there. If I change any of that, even one up, they're now probably gone. So I'm just gonna import, make sure everything's still set right. Alright, let's hit play. We're in sandbox. Because I want to show you where they're all located. Okay. If you wanted blueprinting, this is the fastest way without putting cheat codes in, is to hit all text please. You would have blueprinting and copy and paste. Like I said, I'm not doing it. I reset everything on purpose. So I'm going to say no. But if you did, after you hit all, you gotta hit tab to get past that. That basically was your cutscene. We don't have all text please, and then you say whatever you want, and then you save the game. Now any game, including the campaign, will have blueprinting unlocked. I think all but the first map, because it doesn't have it as availability, because it's not there. It doesn't have. I don't think it has even a quick death bar, quick bar. So we're gonna say no. Starting items, you're gonna find out we have no items, so we're gonna say items please. Cheat mode, what it just does is when you craft, it crafts one at a time. It uses what mats you have in your inventory. If I say cheat mode, it doesn't use any mats. Like you see here, my metal does not change. See how it's still 93 and the lowest one? Just to show you. So what we're looking at, when we start here, we have these ones here. We have this one. You have one here. And over here you have one above the copper. Then you have a couple in the copper. And because I also don't have Beast Construction Planner, I can't show you by selecting and doing weird stuff to show you what's all here. Which I thought you had that automatically. I didn't realize that the robots do that. Alright, and then you go down. There's some over here, which sometimes I forget about. And then there's some down by the tree here. There's like 4, 1 here, 3 over here. 1, 2, and 3. So there's 3 here and 1 here. What may or may not then is usually I'll run up, go down here to the copper. There's 1. Might not be worth the run, but it sets you on the path from your starting area because you're running down here. We'll run over this way. Then we run between the trees to the stone. There's 1 here. Not that big of a deal. However, keep going up. There's 1 here on the outside, and then there's 4 more on the inside. Either 4 or 3. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4. There is 4, and there's 1 on the outside. So there's a total of 5 here. And then you run back to there. The reason why I do that path, because trying to run through here and then back, I don't. To me, it's not worth that run. I mean, it could be, but you're missing out on everything else. Because remember, it's random. You know, you're not guaranteed 37. You might get 30, 26, 32. So the more you get, the better. And then you're running up here like you hit the trees. Going through the trees might slow you down. So this kind of gives you a path. See, it's pretty up and then right through here. And then through here is usually not too bad. But if a tree gets in your way, chop it down. Then we're going to run back and start our base. So when we're making our base, for example, the reason why I picked this to show you, there's multiple ways. Do we have any buildings? I would say you can keep this, but it won't. Is here. These gotta be my steel. This is my other building, which we haven't researched yet. That's a good thing about cheat mode. I don't have to worry about having to research. Really? Oh, it did give us some. But we just haven't researched it. And then this would be our lab, per se. This would be our miners. I have a specific way. You'll learn your own way and do it. The reason being here, if you actually click this, you can hit X, you can move these up. And what the whole point is now, 1 would be the coal burner, which is hard to see. And then 2 would be... Oh, I don't have any, that's why it's not making any. There you go. We have 1 now. So, and then, if I want this one, it won't be 1. I have to hit X. It'll bring it up, and then now I'll have a miner. So, I usually don't do that, because but you see that when I'm clicking. What we're looking at here, like I said, like this. Even this little section here is great. But we're going to find out. I don't want to put it right here, because you'll see here it's good. But on the back side, I mean, you could, but I want it down and back 1. So the lowest one you have is here, right? I want to put 2 side by side. But I don't want it here. I mean, I could. Because when you get up this way, see how these 7, they go away pretty good. But I want it back here more. So we're going to pick it 1 back. I'm going to make a whole bunch in a row. Then we do the same thing on the other side. A whole bunch in a row. And then we'll put our miners here. Or furnaces, I mean. Now there's 2 ways on this when you go out. Regardless on out, just to show you quickly what we're going to be doing. There's a couple ways of doing this. I like the way I'm going to do it is to actually just build buildings. You know, you can go between. For example, this down here would be a miner. And these will be on here. That's why it works out. If it's the other way, this was on top, it would be, you can do that too. You just do the opposite of how I'm building. I'm building to the map, not, you know, I have a set way to build things. So this would be copper cable, and then this would be green circuits, obviously. Hit Alt, make sure you have Alt on so you can see this stuff. So this would need, and then this would be inserters. And then the one over here would be gears. So obviously the gear goes to the inserter, the green circuit. So you can kind of see, without actually setting this up all the way. And then there's more, and then obviously, you don't know. This is the way I build. Then this will go this way. And then you have your boxes. To place them in. This is not powered. This would be powered by coal. So you can have the mini base going, and then this would be the flip of this side, will be over here. So basically you have two bases going. This is why I like this design, and then it's easy later on without doing the whole thing. Because we don't have bread to bring all the stuff over fast enough to feed all these miners, because eventually I'll have more miners going up. That I'll just have a row going up for that side and that side. We have coal come in, and then we'll have iron come in, and then they'll get fed. So that's later on, but when we first do this, we're doing it this way. Wait, could you put? Oh, we can't do resources here. All right, example, you just put coal in. And then, because the biggest thing about building a thing here, let's show you right here real quick. You see what I did? I think this is the simplest design. Is you have your copper cable to your green circuits to your inserter that needs a gear, and then over here will be your belt. This is the simplest design. So obviously this gets fed into here, this has to fed there, and it needs a gear, and then this needs a gear. So then you have your metal come in. However you want to place them. You want to place them together, however you want to do it. You know, it all depends what you're doing for power poles. This is why I do this. So regardless, all around the building has power. And then of course you can have your copper coming in, up. And you can have your metal. However you want to do it. If it needs to come from over here, it comes from over here. So that's the simplest way. But I found out when you go to the next step where you need to plant, give some space. I'm not actually building this. Is say the red. It's a 5:6 or 6:10 ratio for red versus we don't have green unlocked. This would be green. This needs gear as well as copper plates. Well, we have copper plates coming up being made from somewhere. Let's say it was being made from down here. Just quickly showing. So you had power or whatever. So it's being fed. And this was feeding it over this way, whatever. Let's pretend like this wasn't here, this was metal. Right. This needs gear, this needs gear, this needs gear. So you're gonna have to probably put them out. These two will combine. However you want to do it. That'd be the simplest way to sell. So you have copper coming up. Copper plates, you have the gears being outputted. Then, see that gear is now being between the inserter, the belt, and all your red. Which normally is minimum of 5. That's a lot of gears being used. What I like to do, that's why I do it the other way. You used to me always make 2 gears as a pattern. So this would be belts. This would be gears. This only needs 1 belt, needs 1 plate and 1 gear, right? This needs 1 gear also, but it needs a lot of other stuff. But this also makes, if you look at the recipe, it makes 2 belts. So 1 plate and 1 gear makes 2 belts. So the recipes for green, it takes 1 belt and 1 inserter, not 2. So you have an extra gear. So 1 is very easily can go this way, and then another one can go out. So what I do then is I don't have an out for the one given to the inserter. And then eventually, if this starts to be an issue, or later on, you can always add more belts down the line, which you see me do. So metal will have to come in, and then these will be outputted on the line, and then I'll take this one away. So these are always making belts and inserters. What I also like about this recipe, this part right here, is an inserter takes a plate, a gear, and a circuit to make one inserter. A building which we can't see, I think is the same exact recipe, and stuff that we can't see, and then also electric miner it uses the same components but different amounts. It needs 10 plates, 5 gears, 3 circuits, and that's where it starts to get a little costly because 5 gears, the 3 circuits, okay, well, every circuit takes 3 copper cable. So this is where we start to do stuff like that, where you might want 2 copper, figure out a design where you have 2 feeding this, which I didn't go over. This would have to get moved, but just bear with me. I'm not going to change everything. So this will be an N, right, and this will be your copper cable. The reason being is this takes 3 to make 1. So you have 2 buildings that make 1 at a time. They'll keep it going. The most efficient design is actually to have, it doesn't matter if you go this way or this way on the first building, because the other one's going to pick up the slack because it's going to be the same way. If this is over 1, this is over 1. You can even do this to show, but most people put them together just for powerful reasons. But you could do this, because what this is going to be then, your copper cable, this should be your circuits. So this one is going to feed this one here. This one obviously will feed the other one. Oh, it got moved. And then this one will feed both of them. So basically it's 1, 1, it needs 3. So by the time this gives 1, this is giving another 1, this will give 1 to there, this will give another 1. So it kind of goes back and forth between the 2, because this will always get 2. At the same time this makes 2. So it's giving 1, 1. Right? So when this made 2, it got 2. This made 2, this made 2, it went 1, 1. Because it will give it to 1. Sometimes I might pick one side as a higher priority. But overall, though, it will be split between the 2. So every time this makes 2, this is making 1. Right? Because there's only 1 out. So basically this will output 1, this will output 1. So they all make 2 at the same time, without going into it too much. So that is actually one of the most efficient ways. And like I said, because of power pole reasons, like you could do this, and most people pick one or the other here, because that works. And then your two are together, and then however you want to do it. So I'm hitting shift right click in case you didn't know. Shift left. Here to copy it, just a building. Shift right click, left click, right click, and then shift left click to copy the recipes. Without having this, I copy the building. It's in your shortcuts. You go to controls, I believe. Yeah, it's all in your shortcuts stuff. Another one of those are obviously to rotate building, to use your research. Q is copy. It just copies the building or whatever you're copying. It does not copy the recipe. So that's why I said you hit Q and then you hit shift right click and then shift left click. I get them backwards sometimes, so if I say it wrong, pardon me. That's why I have the controls thing here to see what I'm actually clicking, because it's not in the game. That is no board. It's using like a little exe to run. So I would just say if you were to do it, I would watch what games you use it with, because I'm using OBS and the one you're supposed to be able to use doesn't work for me for some reason. I can't get it. There's probably a guide somewhere, but the old ones I looked at didn't work all day. So yeah, we don't have to worry about night. Sorry. Yeah, Yeah, but as soon as you hit all text, please, just hit this and hit save game. We're not going to do it. Your autosave will do it for you. However, you can't guarantee, like an example, if this was the case, I would say BP unlocked, right? I'm going to put not after because it's not. This will show you. So now since it's saved, any game I go into, even a previous game, will be unlocked. I don't have it actually unlocked, so it won't work. I can't show you. There's no point showing you. Wow, once again, pretty long. Like I said, so, and the other way of doing this, instead of doing this building, I sometimes like, but it makes things complicated later. But it's nice to actually feel like you have an actual base going. Is have these outputs just go up. These two both being iron can mate, go together. How you want to do it. Say the outputs here, so this will come in like so, and then you can have your copper. I always leave a space. Kind of creepy one over. Well, I'm trying to show you in case for later I want to upgrade this stuff. Just feed it coal. You might not have to manually feed coal, because I had 2 miners going, which I never did. I didn't explain that either. That these will give copper, and then feed that to a line. It doesn't matter what you do here. This is off, but I don't care. This would be basically, that would end there, probably. It can feed another line. So usually what I do is go straight up. And then guess what? These buildings are right here. Wherever you want to start building your thing, simple. I like it kind of like if you do. I forget where it's at, but you'll get the idea. That's because I can do this. Oh, I didn't do it. Okay, I have to do this manually again. Alright. And this will be the copper coming up. Will feed. Talking about cheat mode, this got a whole tech again. Not me. Remember, it does not work in the game that way. You would actually have to craft it. Right. And what I like about this then is, I guess, trying to say is, these will go into boxes, right? Or to a line, whatever you want to do. And then you have your metal. Might be here. Right, this would be either on a splitter or you can just turn it, but most things are going to be a splitter. And it's hard to show that. But underground. And what I like about this now, metal's coming in. And if you don't want to do undergrounds here, let's just go around the box. But then you have no way to output the box without using the red log inserter to put it somewhere. Not part, but so what I like about this example, I can start doing one down here, and then I can change this recipe right here. Oh, I need buildings, but I can't choose because I don't have it researched yet. So right now it'll just be inserters. Then I can do this again. Unfortunately, I don't have copy and paste. Literally right above that. Some people say we might want to go. You can either go 2 or 3. I'll just go 3 for now. Show you why. So the exact same thing above this. And why I went 3 is because you need one for the distance they'll get from this line here. Right, this will still need to grab from here. Right, you have power going across. Same thing as down here. I just didn't do it all, maybe. So they'll have power. Now the thing with this is then you have your boxes here to go for your base, but you also could have it go on the inside here. Whether you want to put it into a box or onto a belt, that can then either wrap around. This one's easy to do because this one, however this one's going, I'm not doing all the science stuff yet, but see, he's mated. Probably not that far. But this can, being on the outside, this is on the inside. Well, you might have to do something a little fancy, but you can figure it out to put on the same side of the belt. And then the same thing with this. Maybe not that spot, maybe it's on this spot, and it has an underground. That would mate too. Technically, it won't matter. Actually, we can do that. Because when they mate here, it is going to keep everything on this side, on the upper part of the belt. This will keep everything on the lower part of the belt. And then, obviously, we did this. Go to underground. Simplicity. We'll break the belt. I mean, you technically could turn one in and one out, so they won't go together. But remember, this was copper plates, or not copper, iron plates. And then you can make your red science and stuff, which we'll get to when we get to it. And I'll show you the actual design. But remember, we have all this space, so once again, we have this. We can do this again over here. Remember, there's plenty of ways to figure it out without copy and paste. It's kind of hard to do. To set up your base the same way. Like, I would give some room off this edge here. Because there's a couple here you could do. I don't know if I have the exact spot, but right, because you had your miners. You might even do 2. I don't know about on this side. See, that's what I said. Placing these. I'm not worried about these ones. They have a little bit here, but definitely these ones. Yeah, like 10 seconds. See, this one says red, but this one has red and blue, so it just will screw it up. But once again, though, you have the same thing where this is your copper cable. This would then be your green circuits. Those are off. Can't draw today. So I did this side on purpose. That this is going to be that's going down like so. You could go one up if you needed to, but it's pretty low. And then once again, this will feed these directly. It's getting the map. See, example, this one will be down here then. And this one's missing one. Technically. Unless you split it here. Like I said, that's why I said figuring this out. It's probably something you need to do first. I'm gonna say you have to have this one up. And then these will always be like this then. Yeah. It may not work. I said you might have to adjust this down. Because this building here doesn't matter. You run from above, it won't matter. I'm just saying that you can use the map like in that way. And then here you can do this side no problem. Over here though, because this was iron, it'd be no big deal. This just has stone. We can't place it here. I don't know if I have enough room. No. I see. Like I said, it's hard on some of these, except for having it out. Like you can figure out the spacing. I know if I do this one down over here more, this way, and then move this one over here more, it will work. I'm not gonna sit there and prove it. You can figure out your map. This is what's good for sandbox too. You put your map seed. If you don't know your map seed, hit the tilly, just next to the left of the one. Don't hit shift or nothing. Just hit tilly, and type /seed. Does not disable any achievements. I'll tell you your map seed. You can then use that map seed into sandbox. There's a way to, if you would actually hit save game, map a strange string. So when you save it, which we already did, the same map, just showing you. I'm not going to resave the game. I could just save it, just show you. Okay, we save this. We're going to hit load game, and then up here, there's a way for free play and stuff too. I'm not sure how to do it. Map a strange string. I'll give you the string. You hit copy, and then hit confirm so it closes, and then paste that. Since we're done here anyways, right? We're about to go to our game. Hit confirm. We already have it, so it's no big deal. I hit load. We can hit quick game now. Go to single player. Hit new game. And remember, it does not matter if it's free play or sandbox. It will so use it. Hit next, and then import, and then paste it in. It does not care whether the game, because you have to go into what the game is first, free play or sandbox. It'll also load it if you're doing a scenario too, I think. But it's weird. I think you have to save it as scenario or something to load the seed in. Kind of ignore that last part. It's confusing. Like you have to create the scenario, and like you're making it from scratch, and then import the settings in, and then you can modify it how you want, or not modify the map, the ore patches and stuff. Basically, you're in editor mode. All right, this has been way longer than I needed it to be. This was set up for the all achievement, 100% all achievement guide. This has been Rotten Raven. Thanks for watching.